You want to tell me this is entertainment? This is a betrayal. The locker room has been dismantled in broad daylight, and the biggest names in our industry are walking around like nothing happened while Cody Rhodes lies in the wreckage of what should have been respect, honor, and legacy. The Rock and Randy Orton attack Cody Rhodes. Are we supposed to clap and move on? Brock Lesnar stepping into the ring with a Femi, a legitimate mistake, or the pay-to-play chaos that's turned professional wrestling into a boxing match without rules? And Ricochet fired like a disposable prop when things get inconvenient. If you think that's acceptable, then you're not paying attention. If you think that's business as usual, you're part of the problem. Before we dive in, answer this in the comments. Who do you blame for the attack on Cody? The Rock, Randy Orton, WWE Creative, or Cody himself for walking into a trap? Explain why. And stick around, the truth we're about to unpack gets uglier the deeper we go. Part 1: The shock and the setup. What really happened with The Rock, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes? Let's set the scene. Cody Rhodes, a man who climbed his way back from the ashes, carried an entire story on his back, and finally wrestled his way into legitimacy. He's not a flash in the pan. He is grind, sacrifice, and unfinished revenge. Then you throw The Rock and Randy Orton into the equation, two men who are icons but also volatile variables, and suddenly the narrative shifts from wrestling to spectacle. Now imagine the live reaction, the crowd chanting, the lights cutting, the stunned silence broken only by the sickening sound of bodies hitting the mat. The Rock, with his Hollywood aura, dropping a people's elbow on Cody. The cameras catch the disbelief on the faces in the crowd, the same faces that once chanted "You still got it" to Cody. Randy Orton, methodical and clinical as ever, delivering his signature strikes, but this time his venom wasn't aimed at a rival, it was aimed at a man who dared to believe in his own story. Whether this was a script, a shoot, or a hybrid, the effect is the same: an assault on a legacy. We need to ask the tough questions. Was this a calculated move to generate heat and ratings, or was this a backstage power play disguised as a storyline? The Rock has box office to manage, Randy has a cold-blooded streak and a history of hitting when the iron's hot. Cody has momentum. Cut that momentum and you control the story. That's not just creative choice, that's wrestling politics at its rawest. Trivial question for the comments: who would you have liked to see come to Cody's rescue in that moment? Explain why. Part 2: The industry context, how stars, money, and ego collide. This isn't just a moment. It's the latest symptom of a disease, the superstar economy. When names with global brand value enter the ring, the calculus changes. The Rock isn't just a wrestler, he's a corporation walking on two legs. Randy Orton is a generational star with a get-things-done resume. Cody Rhodes is the embodiment of modern wrestling storytelling. That collision is bound to spark friction. Let's peel the layers. Big names command creative priority and dollars. When those names are involved, their protection becomes paramount. That protection often comes at the expense of emerging or even established talents who aren't leverage-bearing assets. Cody's arc, and it was a perfect arc, threatened to eclipse narratives that big-money stars wanted to control. The attack, it can be read as a reset, a way to take Cody off his pedestal and rewrite the program when it suits the top-level brand. And backstage power dynamics run cold. Agents, managers, and producers maneuver. There are egos that want the light. There are creatives who want the story. There are suits who want subscriptions. When those forces clash, the casualties are the performers who stand in the way. Trivial question: which do you think is worse, creative decisions driven by money or creative decisions driven by ego? Vote below and tell us why. Part 3: The Rock, hero or heel, reading his motives. Let's talk Rock. For decades, he's been the industry's golden goose. Hollywood made him a titan. WWE wants to keep that sparkle. But what do you do when your brand collides with someone who's being built into a main event fixture? You redirect. The Rock's actions, whether literal or storyline, must be read through the lens of brand management. Was The Rock protecting his legacy by undermining a rival's momentum, or was he playing the long game, inserting himself into a compelling story to generate maximum crossover interest? On one hand, The Rock's involvement guarantees headlines and ad buys. On the other, it risks alienating fans who feel their story, Cody's journey, is being trampled for theatrics. The moment The Rock struck Cody, a line was crossed for many fans, the line between storytelling and disrespect. This is the wrestling equivalent of a veteran actor overshadowing a rising star in a scene. If you're the rising star, your story becomes secondary. For fans who invest emotionally in the climb, that's not just bad booking, it's a betrayal. Trivial question: is The Rock's involvement generational nostalgia or corporate interference? Say your piece in the comments. Part 4: Randy Orton, the apex predator or the puppet. Randy Orton has built his career on calculated violence. He's a character who thrives in morally ambiguous spaces. When he joins forces with someone like The Rock, his role becomes the instrument of pain, the on-screen executioner. But let's not be naive, Randy's reputation means his moves land with meaning. That makes him dangerous, not just in ring but in narrative control. Why would Orton attack Cody? Several readings exist. His protecting established hierarchy, his enforcing veteran supremacy, his playing the role he's been paid to play, the cold-blooded enforcer who takes out a perceived threat. Randy's presence adds a violent legitimacy to the attack. He didn't just participate, he amplified the message, you won't be allowed to rise without consequences. That's a message that resonates, and that's a message that enrages fans who sided with Cody's underdog fight. Trivial question: would you want Randy Orton to face Cody in a one-on-one match for retribution, or should Cody take a different path to revenge? Vote and explain. Part 5: Cody Rhodes, fallen hero or mastermind in disguise. Here's where things get interesting. Cody Rhodes lying on the canvas is a potent image. But what does it mean? Wrestling lore is littered with attacked protagonist tropes that either resurrect a hero's spirit or bury them entirely. The real question: is Cody the victim, or is he playing chess? If Cody is truly a victim, the attack should generate righteous heat. Fans rally, Cody returns with vengeance. If Cody is the mastermind, he's letting his enemies walk into his narrative trap, consolidating moral high ground before delivering a decisive counter-strike that redefines the character. Both readings exist, and both have been used in wrestling to incredible effect. But given Cody's intelligence both in and out of the ring, is it probable he allowed this to happen? Possibly, but I still lean toward betrayal. This felt darker, meaner, and a step outside the typical hero's fall. If Cody's creative team allowed this to be so violent without a clear payoff, then we have a problem with the storytelling engine. Trivial question: do you want Cody to return as a vengeful face or a darker, more ruthless version of himself? Comment which direction and why. Part 6: Brock Lesnar vs Femi, a mistake or a statement? Now shift focus. Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, entering the picture against Femi. On paper, Lesnar vs is carnival, a top-shelf star versus a rising talent. Sensational, right? But the execution matters. Lesnar's aura is different. He's not a character built on narrative nuance, he's all muscle, brute force, and corporate star power. Wrestlers who face Lesnar either get elevated through a monumental upset, buried in a squash, or burned in a match that makes no sense for their character. That's the risk Femi faces. Was this match a mistake? If the goal was to elevate with a clean, competitive losing effort, Lesnar was a poor choice unless Lesnar was taking a tactical loss, which they never let happen when his aura is at stake. If the goal was to create viral content with Lesnar destroying a rising star for shock value, then it's a statement and not the kind that helps long-term storytelling. Could be presented as cannon fodder, another casualty in the make it quick and brutal department that does more harm than good. The real tragedy here: fans crave meaningful competitive matches that build a wrestler's credibility. If Lesnar obliterated in a match designed to shock rather than build, then someone decided short-term eyeballs trump career development. Trivial question: did Brock's match with Femi help or hurt Bar's credibility? Say why. Part 7: Ricochet fired, why it's not just about one man. Rumors are rumors until they are confirmed. The talk of Ricochet being fired hits a nerve because Ricochet represents the athletic artistry many fans tune in for. A high-flying acrobat with jaw-dropping moves, Ricochet is a counterpoint to the star's for-hire culture. Losing him would be a blow to anyone who cherishes pristine in-ring creativity. But the firing rumor raises systemic issues. Did Ricochet violate locker room rules? Did he cross a line in conduct? Or was this an example of the company trimming perceived non-essential talent to protect marquee stars? If Ricochet truly was let go for reasons unrelated to performance or for something that could be handled internally, then this is a sign of a shrinking moral economy where talent is disposable. Examine the pattern. The company has had history with talent exits, sometimes necessary, sometimes preventable. Firing a guy like Ricochet would not just be a personnel move, it would send a message to the roster: perform exactly as required, or you'll be cut loose. That breeds conformity and kills risk-taking, and risk-taking is how memorable wrestling matches are born. Trivial question: if Ricochet is indeed gone, who should be the next high flyer to get his push? Recommend names and why. Part 8: Creative failure or intentional chaos. Here's the core: is all of this creative brilliance or creative bankruptcy? On paper, shock moments generate heat, clicks, and conversation. But there's a delicate balance between compelling drama and cynical manipulation. The Rock and Orton attacking Cody could be a calculated storyline that pays off in the long run. Brock vs could set up a redemption arc. Ricochet getting fired could be a dark twist leading to a comeback storyline. But the problem is pacing and respect. If these moments are isolated stunts without coherent follow-through, they signal creative laziness. Storylines must have consequences. If Cody is attacked and nothing substantial follows, fans feel cheated. If a bar is crushed and no real build occurs, a bar is ruined. If Ricochet is truly fired and it's swept under the rug, talent morale plummets. Wrestling thrives on long-term booking that respects the audience. When showrunners prioritize moment-to-moment viral hits over narrative continuity, they risk losing the most valuable currency they have, fan trust. Trivial question: what's more important to you, constant shocking moments or a slower, payoff-driven build? Vote and explain why. Part 9: The fan perspective, why this feels personal. Wrestling is unique because it blends performance and personal investment. Fans don't just watch, they inhabit stories. When beloved arcs are interrupted by apparent corporate interference or gratuitous shock, fans feel like their emotional labor has been stolen. That's why the reaction online has been heated. It's not just about the stars, it's about the relationship between fans and the people they root for. The attack on Cody is a breach of contract with that relationship. The Lesnar match with a bar feels like a spectacle prioritized over character development. The Ricochet rumor, real or not, suggests disposable talent management. Fans smell the rot because they've been burned before. That anger fuels channels like ours. It fuels calls for accountability. This is why it's so important to voice dissatisfaction constructively. Viewership is an influence lever. Ratings, social engagement, and the very subscriptions these companies crave are the currency we can use to demand better storytelling. Trivial question: will you support or boycott shows if booking keeps sacrificing long-term storytelling for shock value? Tell us your plan in the comments. Part 10: Power plays and protecting talent, what should happen next? If the company wants to salvage goodwill, here are the only viable steps. Protect Cody, give Cody a meaningful arc that treats the attack like the seismic event it is. Make every promo, every match, every beat count. Don't let the moment be a meme, make it a movement. Rebuild a bar. Femi: if Brock Lesnar gave a bar a beating, let a bar respond. Either in a rematch, a storyline rehabilitation, or a carefully constructed series of victories that slowly rebuild his aura. Treat a bar as an investment, not a prop. Clarify Ricochet's status, silence breeds rumors. If Ricochet is fired, explain the choice, or, better yet, create a storyline that honors his talent. If he's staying, shut down the rumors and give him direction. Transparency with fans: not every move needs exacting detail, but consistent storytelling and respect for the audience will buy patience. Fans will stomach heel turns if they lead somewhere. We can't control corporate whims, but we can set expectations. Creatives in charge must understand they are stewards of careers and fan trust. If they don't, the backlash will not be merely digital, it will hit the bottom line. Trivial question: which of the 4 suggested steps is the most urgent in your view? Rank them and explain. Part 11: Historical parallels, lessons from past wrestling wars. This isn't the first time big names have overshadowed rising talents. Think of when Hollywood crossovers diluted wrestling narratives in the past, or when main event stars were protected at the expense of long-term storylines. There are success stories and disasters. When done right, veteran involvement can elevate new stars. Look at how Austin's feuds built the Attitude Era. When done wrong, it suffocates progress and demoralizes fans. Remember when short-term stunts eroded credibility. The lesson is consistent: elevate without suffocating. Make veteran stars the ladder, not the ceiling. If The Rock and Randy Orton truly want to help, let their involvement be the bridge to Cody's next level, not the brick wall that stops his ascent. Trivial question: which historical wrestling moment best mirrors this situation and what did it teach the industry? Share your pick and reasoning. Part 12: The human cost, performers behind the headlines. Never forget the people. Cody Rhodes is a human being whose life has intertwined with this industry's public spectacle. A bar. Femi, Ricochet, The Rock, Randy Orton, all of them have families, mental lives, and careers that are affected by every headline. The industry's pressure and corporate maneuvers have real-world consequences: lost income, mental strain, and damaged reputations. Firing a performer without transparent process, staging violent beatings for shock without proper safety or storytelling payoff, or creating situations where legacy stars overshadow rising talent without a coherent plan. These aren't just creative issues, they are ethical ones. The wrestling industry must balance narrative thrills with humane treatment of performers. Trivial question: which wrestler do you most worry about right now based on recent events? Say why. Part 13: What fans should demand, a call to action. If you're angry, good. Don't let the energy dissipate. Here's how fans can respond constructively. Engage thoughtfully. Comments, tweets, and petitions matter, but keep them focused on storytelling and talent protection. Vote with attention. Streaming numbers and buys tell the suits what matters. Support talent directly, buy merchandise, support indie shows, attend events where rising stars perform. Demand accountability, ask for consistent long-term booking and public clarity on personnel decisions. This isn't about hating on The Rock or Randy Orton. This is about demanding a system that treats stars and rising names with respect, a system that prizes storytelling over shortcuts. Trivial question: what's one concrete demand you'll make to the company after watching this video? Drop it in the comments. Part 14: Possible outcomes, best and worst case scenarios. Best case scenario: Cody's attack becomes a launching pad for an epic comeback. Femi is rebuilt into a more resilient, fearsome contender. Ricochet returns with renewed direction, and The Rock and Randy Orton's involvement results in long-term storylines that elevate everyone. Fans feel vindicated. Worst case scenario: the attack was a rating stunt that leads nowhere. Ambse's credibility is dead, Ricochet's exit becomes normalizable, and fans feel cheated, leading to dwindling loyalty. That's not just a creative failure, it's strategic self-sabotage. Which will it be? The company's next moves, and the fans' reactions, will decide. Trivial question: which scenario do you predict, best or worst? Back your choice in the comments with reasons. Part 15: Final take. This moment will define an era one way or another. We're at a crossroads. These moments: The Rock and Randy Orton attacking Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar vs Femi, Ricochet's rumored firing, they are more than isolated headlines. They are symptoms of how wrestling is being run: star first, story second, shock driven. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can demand better. Creatives can choose to steward careers rather than extinguish them. Cody Rhodes deserves more than a viral moment worked at his expense. Femi deserves development that respects his talent. Ricochet deserves clarity. The Rock and Randy Orton deserve to be part of stories that build new legends rather than simply restate old power structures. If the company chooses the right path, we'll look back at this and call it the inflection point that produced masterpieces. If they choose poorly, we'll remember the collapse. Trivial question, last one: after watching this, are you more likely to tune in faithfully, tune out in protest, or wait and see how the booking unfolds? Say which and why. Closing note: short, powerful. This is not theater. This is not just a storyline. This is the living, breathing culture of wrestling, and it's being challenged. Speak up. Share this video. Make your voice count where it matters. If you want real accountability, don't just react, act. Comment below with your takes to make sure the people running the show can't ignore what the fans want.